Good day, sir. Here is a demo video for intents. Intents are used so that you will not put all the Android widgets into one view. You can separate them to different views using intents. There are two types of intents, implicit and explicit. Implicit intents are existing intents in the Android, while explicit intents are user created intents. So let's have first show examples for implicit intents. I have here a button called implicit, and I use onClick. OnClick, I will use the method implicit demo. Let's go to the main activity. Here is the method for our first example. So first, we create an intent and then instantiate it. After this, you can do two things: set data or set actions. First, let's use set action. Then you can specify an action you want to do. So I use action view. This means you want to view a specific data. Then because you want to view a specific data, let's set data. Then the data we want to view is in a data in the gallery. So we use this media store, images, media, internal content URI. Lastly, let's start activity and specify the intent. Let's run this. So we're done with the first example. Let's go to the second example. So in set data, you can specify a specific URI, and then you need to parse it. And in this example, we'll send an SMS to this number. Then start activity. Let's specify the intent. Then let's run this one. We're done with the second example. So let's go to the third example. In this one, in the set action, we'll have the action call button. This doesn't need data because this will only display the phone dial. So let's run this code. Now we're done with the examples for implicit intents. We'll now move on to examples for explicit intents. So I have a button here called implicit. I use again onClick, and in onClick I use the method explicit demo. Now in main activity, here's the method. I created an intent, then instantiated the parameter get application context or this, and the class that we are pointing to. Then start activity and specify the intent. The new class that I created is called second activity. Here is the XML. So we have here a button back so that we can return to the main activity. So in the I use on click again, then use a method called back button. Go to the second activity, the Java. Here is the method. To go back to the main activity, we use the method finish. Now let's run this one. Now we're done with the first example. Let's go to the second example. In the second example, we will pass data from main activity to the second activity. To pass data, we will use put extra or put extras. Put extra is used to pass a singular data, while put extras is used to pass a group of data by a bundle. In this example, we'll use put extra. So as you can see, we have an edit text here. Here we will type the data that we will pass to the second activity. Let's go to the main activity. We'll create a variable. Then we'll store the edit text that we will use to this variable. Then in the explicit demo method, we'll create a string variable called str, and we'll get text. We'll use get text and to string to make sure that the data that we will get is a string. Then we will use put extra. We'll use put extra. And in put extra, we are essentially using hashes. And hashes has two parameters. First one is a key, then the second is the actual data. And we'll use key1 as the key, then we'll send the data str. Let's go to the second activity. Here we also have an edit text. Here we will display the data that the second activity will receive, and we'll create a variable et for edit text, and we'll store the edit text that we will use for et. Then we'll create an intent. Instead of using new intent, we'll use get intent because we know that there is an intent that is passed to this activity. Then we'll create a string variable called str. Then we will use get string extra because we will receive a string. There are other methods we can use depending on the data type that we will receive. There is get int, extra, and others. And the parameter that we use is the key that should be the same as the key in the put extra. Then we'll set text to the edit text, and now we can run this code. Now we're done with the third example. Now let's go to the fourth example. In this example, we'll use put extras, meaning we'll pass a group of data. To do that, we'll use bundle. So here we'll created a bundle, then we instantiate it, then we'll put different datas into the bundle. You can use any data types. So here we put string, and this will also use hashes. So we have a key here and the data, and we can also put an integer. So I have key here and integer 10. and we'll use put extras, then specify the bundle, then start activity, then specify the intent. Now let's go to the second activity. So here it's the same. We have an intent here and get intent, but we'll also create a bundle. But rather than instantiate it, we'll use get extras because we know that we have sent extras to this activity. Now we create a string variable, then we use getString because we want to get the string data in the bundle, and we will use the same key in the put string key. So then we will set text, and let's run this code. So now let's move on to the next example. In this example, instead just having the second activity receive data, now we will also have the main activity receive data. To do that, instead of using start activity, we'll use start activity for result. It has two parameters, the intent and the request code. The request code is important because we can send different intents to different activities. You just need to change your request code if you want to send it to a different activity. So we'll use the request code 0 because in this request code we will use values, and after that we'll create a method that will wait for the data from the second activity sent to the calling intent. So this is the method on activity result, which has the parameters result code, the request code, then the result code coming from the second activity, and the data coming from the second activity. Now let's go to the second activity, and we'll use back button to send. Once you click the back button, we will send the data. So let's create an intent and use get intent. Then we create a string variable to get, then use get text, then to string to make sure that the text that we get is a string. Then let's use put extra. Then we know that this is a hash, so we have a key here. Let's have it reply as reply. Then the data that we will pass str. Then we will use set result so that when we send the data to the calling intent, it will accompany a condition which is the result okay. You can also change this into values. Since here you can put -1 here because it's equal to result okay. So after that, let's go to the main activity. So let's go to this method. So we create an if statement. Then first we see if the request code is equal to 0 because it should be the same as here. Then the result code must equal to result okay because we have the conditions set as result okay. Then if both are true, let's create a string variable. Then we will get string extra because we will receive string. Then we will have the parameter key and the key reply, the same as the key here. Then we will display the data that the main activity receive as a toast. And we will make text and get the parameters are get application context, the data, which is str, then toast that length long, then that show so that the data will display. Now let's run this one. That's all. Thank you, sir, for watching the demo video Findings.